Good morning, everybody. Hold on, I'm sending Jason Suchomel the link. Good morning, everybody. Welcome back. Welcome back to everybody to the what is not it's not becoming a fun show. We're gonna try to have a good time anyway, but welcome back. It's your Unc here on War Richardson in the house. It's kind of dark. I don't even like, you know what? Let's just try to brighten this up. I don't even like all that. All right, yeah, let's do that. Let's not make it too much of a sad day. I'm gonna brighten it up just a little bit in here. But good morning to everybody. August the 13th, everybody. Y'all come on in. Y'all file on in into this thing because obviously we have a lot to discuss today. Shout out to the teachers who have gone back to work this week. Shout out to all the teachers in the Leander ISD who will open their doors tomorrow and let everybody in. Have Meet the Teacher night. That's crazy. Like last night, I had Meet the Teacher at my kids' elementary school. My youngest, my oldest is starting middle school. And so I'm literally in that mode, just trying to be a dad. They couldn't even actually really cover the Sarkeesian thing. Asked Jason Suchomel to take care of that for me so I could just kind of be in dad mode and all this kind of stuff. And then take my kids to like a little soccer training. And in the midst of all of that, we find out that there is another Texas injury that has occurred. So we'll talk about that this morning and where that is. If you have a chance, we'll kind of go a little bit into the AP Top 25 that was out. And then Jason Suchomel will be in here probably in the next 15 minutes to give us a recruiting update to see if there's anything that we can feel positive about this week, because this thing is getting ridiculous. I don't want to hear anything. Jason got to bring something but positive. I want to hear about guys who are ready to commit. I want to hear about guys that Texas are on the fence with, or vice versa. I need some positivity. We also need some positivity today. So Jason Suchomel, our recruiting guy, he will be here in a little bit. Let me make sure, by the way, give me 1 second. I'm going to acknowledge everyone who's in the chat real quick. Let me just retweet this thing to let people know the show has gotten started. It's a one-man band, y'all. So one-man band is one-man operation. You're looking at the producer. You're looking at the content creator, headline writer, like all that. So give me 1 second. Social media manager. I feel like I'm from Hey Man. You remember that from In Living Color? I got 5 jobs, man. That's kind of how I feel. So hold on 1 second. Let me get this one out here. And here we go. That's a simple gift. And let's get this thing started. Good morning to everybody. Real quick, I wanted to give a shout out to everybody who was here in the chat. Rodolfo was in the chat as well. Chris Bennett is here. Money B's always in the building. My man Kiki's in this house. Jesse, Uncle Mickey, Mike Torres is in here. I shared with Mike some video of my 6-year-old keeper. Apparently, I've become a keeper dad at this moment. So there's that. Tracy Williams is in the house. Text Guy 2. Mark Ruiz is in here. Pete Medina. My best friend growing up was a guy by the name of Christopher Medina. So it's good to see all the Medinas in the house. Zio_V is in here. Vivek is in here. David Yancey is in here. The Flintstone, I'm not repeating the rest of that. J-Day is in here. Jared, my son, my 6-year-old son, who is in my login, is literally saying another injury. Yes, Titan. My 6-year-old is freaking out. This is where we're at right now. My 6-year-old son is literally watching right now. Titan, who will be at school tomorrow, is literally saying another injury. Wow. There you go. That's kind of where we're at as far as this whole thing. Seth Barrow is in here, and of course everyone else. So yes, last night the news broke. Again, here I am trying to be at Meet the Teacher and be a dad and take my kid to soccer training. But last night, news don't stop for anybody. We find out about Christian Clark and the injury that happened to him. and we'll get into the ramifications and all that kind of stuff, right? But Christian Clark sustains an injury. Good morning to you, Pete, as well. And Stoop Safai, good morning to you as well. And good morning, Deborah. I hope you enjoyed your birthday yesterday. To let me know what you did. I hope you celebrated in good fashion. And by the way, I'm just floored that my kid is in the chat. So anyway, so we find out that I find out obviously that he sustains an injury in practice. I was told that it was probably a what is this? Hold on, Jay Lee. People bash me on OB for suggesting finding someone for emergency depth while in camp, another injury, and maybe I knew what I was talking about. Okay. There you go. So it obviously, so I've categorized it as a lower leg injury. Okay. That's what I've categorized it as. I've been told what the preliminary report is. Okay, like Trace, I see you in the chat there. I've been told what the preliminary report is, and I can tell you it's bad. Like I can tell you if this, they're getting us obviously they're going to get a second opinion today, but it's bad enough where I just don't think if it holds true, then he wouldn't play again. But they're getting a second evaluation there. Yes, the speculation that I hear. Okay, so let me preface this. I want everybody to be on the same page with this. Okay, let's can we do this? Because I know how this thing works. Good morning to you, Kath. I know how this thing works. If I say something, that someone will say Oddworld's report. Like the thing is, people will say Oddworld's reporting this, and I don't want you guys to go out there and get on Twitter and say, I was reporting this. For everybody who's the bloggers who are watching, who like to aggregate stuff, I don't say I'm reporting this. I can tell you this is what I'm hearing. This is our preliminary report. But this is the thing I'm just saying, like, okay, let's just wait on this. But the preliminary thing is that they believe it's an Achilles, okay? And so again, don't y'all run out there on them Twitter streets, back on OB, all your other websites, and say, this is what I'm reporting. I'm just telling you that's what I'm hearing, but I need some more validation on this before that's the thing that I run with and tell you and put out there as gospel truth. But nonetheless, I think you can kind of tell that there's an ominous tone about the situation. People I've talked to have given me a SMH to that's why it is to everything to that effect. And so we're just going to have to, well, again, I want to wait until today, get a little bit more on that to make sure that's verified. But nonetheless, it does not sound good for him as far as being playing this season. But again, hope that he goes and gets checked out today, and they say that it's something different, right? That's what you got to hope for. But when you get non-contact kind of injuries, those things are scary ones. That's the one that happened. CJ Baxter was non-contact. So you just got to, again, hope for the best as relates to the young man. So they're going to the question, and who's left? Right, that's the question everybody has at this moment. Well, who the hell is left? You got Jaden Blue, you got Trey Wisner, and you've got Jarrett Gibson. Now, reality is, since the CJ Baxter injury had occurred last week, that's the three guys that more than likely is what it would be anyway, right? With Christian Clark being the fourth guy, doesn't negate his injury by any stretch of the imagination, right? Does not negate his injury or anything to that effect. But nonetheless, that's your three. Now you're talking about Colin Page and Darian Gillette as well. And by the way, for all the back and forth that I had with Catch yesterday talking about Colin Page, it don't seem like a joke now, does it? Because I wasn't joking. I literally was told Colin Page was balling over the weekend. That's what I was told. And I can't. The thing is, when I hear things from people who I feel to be reliable, it's not my job to tell them they're wrong. My job is to listen to what they say and report the information. Now, it's not my job to say what. Now, I will tell you this: when I did hear the Colin Page situation over the weekend, when they said like how good he went, I will admit to y'all, I will tell you this: when I was told that, I said, "All right, cool, man. All right, so tell me really what happened in the scrimmage." They're like, "No, 27 was balling. Like he was really good." I was like, all right, man. You I got you. You're funny. You're funny. Okay, so what? So some of the highlights, and no, that was it, right? So Colin Page becomes a very important piece. But then the other thing that I've heard from multiple people as relates to this situation is that there's talk in the building about moving Ryan Niblett from receiver over to running back. Which on the surface, not a bad idea. Not a bad idea. Not a bad idea. Good morning to you, South End Zone Queen. I'm just laughing at Catch telling you how amazing your body looked yesterday. That is just fascinating. But he said it in a very, very nice way. But so we're talking about Niblett as that possibility of moving over. So we're talking about a guy at 5'10", 185 over there. We're talking about right now we're at a point where, and I hate to be Captain Obvious, right? Like that, what I'm about to say is somewhat, it's so Captain Obvious, but you're at a point now where you can't afford another injury. Like Sark would never ask me for my opinion on coaching, the same way I would never ask for his opinion on reporting or journalism. So it's all fair, right? But if I was him, my running backs are all wearing green non-contact jerseys. Now I get it. This one was a non-contact injury, so I totally understand that. But I'm just talking about going into the scrimmage on Saturday. You are not allowed to take down any of my running backs. You are not allowed to touch my running back. My running backs and my quarterbacks are that important right now. Nobody. You tackle one of my running backs, I promise you'll be off this team. Like that. That's how important that is. Like so, because you've got your three. And then right then you're talking about a Colin Page, who again, good high school player. And then you talk about two guys who are switched positions to try to learn it. And yeah, I know, for every Roschon Johnson success story, we could point to other position switches that weren't as successful. Like we always in life look at the outliers as the reason why everything is going to happen. Like every 6th round pick somehow is going to become Tom Brady, right? And it's like, yes, sure. But the majority of them we never hear from again. So there is that, right? And I see you, fan club president, Finkley taking short yardage snaps, things to that effect. I mean, sure. I mean, I haven't heard that, but I get what you're saying. I am not a huge fan. I'm not a huge fan of just having anybody down there on the goal line. I'm not a huge fan of that. And I know Byron Murphy was able to do that last year, and Tavondre Sweat was able to do that. So I get the big body thing. But I'm not too. I said this on Orange Bloods the other day because people were talking about, who to use in short yardage situations. And I just said, respectfully, everybody loved the Savion Red package until they didn't, right? At first, everyone was like, Savion Red package. Everyone loved it until they didn't love it anymore. Until it became predictable. Until you said it's going in the same direction every time. Is there any other kinks to this package, right? Is there any other bells and whistles? Is there any kind of fakes? Is there anything, or is it just basically going to be a dive, right? Just a dive in the same part of the field every single time. So I get what you're saying, but I'm also honestly, I'm just a believer. I like using your backs, the way they should be used. And again, the Byron Murphys of the world, to Devondre Sweats of the world. We're also talking about guys who were obviously elite athletes, and so I don't know. So we'll see what Niblett looks like in that position. I think it's a good position move for him, just because he gets an opportunity to where he may not have gotten a lot of run at the wide receiver position. He does have an opportunity to get some burn here, but you just got to be real careful. If you're going on. So again, the last on it is I will wait for more verification as it relates to this situation before I go in a little bit further. So again, if y'all heard it earlier, before you run out on them streets and be like, I was reporting this. So no, let's make sure we're clear. I told you what I've heard, but I've told you that I need further verification. But because everybody keeps asking me, I feel like I owe you guys something in return. But nonetheless, just be good. Hey, Titan, I love you. Stop. You gotta chill down on the comment at this moment, buddy. All right. Let me tell you something that I don't need you to chill on, and that is my main man, Eric Torres. Here he is. What is going on? Eric Torres, El Presidente himself, is in the house. If you need a home in the DFW area, you don't have to look any further than my main man, Eric Torres. He's got you covered. Looking to buy a home, looking to sell a home, whatever it is, you check him out. Don't get taken advantage of this housing market. His kids are back at school. Nobody's really going to be thinking about buying a house right now. A perfect opportunity for you to take advantage of it. Whether you're looking to buy, he'll make sure he takes care of you. Looking to sell, all that as well. Eric sells homes DFW in the car. Go ahead and screenshot it and check him out later. He will got you covered. Eric sells homes DFW. I'm going to go ahead and bring in. He is so disappointed because they deleted my music. And I'm disappointed in this as well. So all right. So all we can do right now is guess what hat Jason Suchomel is going to be wearing. Now, my thought process is Jason, I'm not looking, so I'm looking away from the screen. My thought process is Jason wore the Adidas hat last week. My guess is he's excited about football season, and I think he's going to crack out the Steelers hat in order to be hyped about his Steelers. And of course, there was some BS on one of these debate shows where someone was talking about another coach being better than Tomlin. So I think he will absolutely be repping Pittsburgh today. So let's go and see if I know exactly where we're at. And Jason's got on doesn't have on the Steelers hat. Does not.
I threw you a curveball this week, Anwar. I thought with all the bad karma going around, I'm going to break out the hat that I haven't worn in a while. So this is Amigo Provisions, which used to be a sponsor. They're not a sponsor anymore, so maybe I shouldn't wear this hat. But,
what did they even do?
They make it's clothing, clothing line. So, but it was a free hat they gave me back when it was back when I was doing the Crewcast way back when. So,
oh gosh.
So yeah, this hat's been hanging on the rack for a while, so I broke it. But I did almost put on a Steelers hat. You were that close to being right on, War. So.
Man, that is quick. Well, hey, it's not like Catch gives us free gear because hey, you remember when he said, like, what was it, like earlier this year or late last year? He's like, I'm tired of getting called out about the gear, so I'm going to make sure you guys get it.
Dude, I've said it for 20 years. Like, people will buy, like, we just need to sell it for the cost that we're not trying to make money on it, right? Whatever it costs us to the penny, let's sell it. Our subscribers are loyal. They will wear it. It's free advertising. I've got Orange Bloods gear on our true story. Took my 13-year-old back to school shopping this week. and she got a shirt. She said, "Oh, look, that same shirt is in the store." She was so impressed with herself. She goes, "I still have that shirt. It's 2 years old." I go, "Girl, I've got work shirts that are like 15 years old that I'm
Oh,
still wearing. I still seriously, I still have orange blood shirts. They're like 15 years old that I still wear."
So check this out. So my girl, her daughter and her boyfriend, they are into like thrifting, right?
Yeah, my
And
kids do.
so okay, I guess that's a thing now with
Yeah.
with young people. So they're into thrifting, but they also like to sell things online. Jason, I'm not lying. I'm seriously. I had the vest that I used to wear when I would go out from the club in the 90s. Like I'm gonna assume you and I had different styles back in the 90s, Jason,
Probably so.
and probably
Probably.
went to different places. But I used to have like these vests that were stylish. I've had them sitting in there for like 30 years. So I was like, I gave it the other week to the boyfriend. They were like, oh my God, look at all this vintage stuff, right? So they were super geeked up about all these like old school clothes that they felt like they're going to be able to sell for like top dollar because of the condition it was in and everything like that.
We probably didn't dress too dissimilarly. I remember my senior year of high school going shopping in some of the Z Cavarici clothes I bought. And I look back, I'm like, oh my God, what was I doing? But yeah, thrifting is definitely a thing on where my kids do it. And I just can't bring myself to be like, oh, that's a used shirt that somebody else was sweating in. Like, nope, not me. So yeah.
Yeah, you would think it would bother them. I wanted to see. Eventually, I'll see if I can find it. Maybe next week I'll pull it up. All right, Jason. Um, we'll. I've talked a little bit about Christian Clark. So I don't know if you posted your 3-2-1 yet. So give me, and if you did, yes, you did. You posted it yesterday, in fact.
Yeah,
Um, yeah, you did. I was thinking, I'm kind of tripping right now. First of all, give me your reaction to the Christian Clark injury once you found out about it, and what do you think the ramifications are?
it's borderline devastating. I feel bad for the, the young man, of course, the kid, the young man, but to lose two running backs in, well, it's less than 7 days span, right? So,
Yeah.
I thought it was interesting on where I was sitting doing the Sark Zoom call, and someone asked him about moving other players to running back. And I'm assuming they meant Darian Gillette because that was already out there. And Sark kind of made a casual reference like, oh, yeah, he didn't say Gillette, but he goes, yeah, we're looking at some defensive guys and maybe an offensive guy too. But he said, hey, you got to be careful. You don't want to pull too much away from the other position group. They're more natural position group. But, Ryan Niblett makes all the sense in the world. He did some of that in high school. He's got a really good skill set that I think would carry over. He's not going to be an every down back. He's a smaller guy, but everybody keeps saying short yardage back. Who's going to be your short yardage back? Well, Jared Gibson's he's a freshman. He's a big, powerful, running back. So I mean, they've got options, but boy, it's razor thin at this point. When we heard about it last night, it was like, oh, that's the worst news other than maybe a quarterback injury. I shouldn't even put that out there. I mean, knock on wood there. It's just bad news for Texas. But it was funny. Like seriously, the Sark press conference, he was pretty upbeat, in a good mood. He seemed so he didn't seem like he was in a bad mood, pissed off, stressed out. Maybe he didn't know the severity of it at that point. But I feel bad for Christian Clark. C.J. Baxter, of course. Tashard Choice has now got his work cut out for him. So it's going to greatly impact just maybe the way they have to. I heard you before I came in, the way they're going to have to practice with their running backs. And honestly, maybe the way Sark has to call games in some degree. Is he going to not just pump Jaden Blue with 25 carries every week? Is he going to have to pull back on that? I don't know. But that's, Sark's a smart guy. He'll figure it out.
Jason, let me lean on maybe the recruiting profiles of what you remember, because I think, people may know Jarrett Gibson, that he's on campus, right? And they may not have followed his recruiting all the way through. Trey Wisner may be another person that, hey, I know he's on campus, may not follow all the way through. And I think people obviously are a little bit more familiar with Jaden Blue's story, but can you talk a little bit more about Trey Wisner? again, where they were to where we got to today, Wisner and Gibson, and what that looks like in the backfield behind Jaden Blue.
Yeah, I mean, just to start with Blue. Blue's more your more traditional back, can do a little bit of everything. Okay, he's kind of a every down back, if you will. Trey Wisner, honestly, when he came into Texas from DeSoto, and he went to school at Waco University, then DeSoto, then comes to Texas, of course. There was thought, and I think for a minute, even Texas labeled him as a wide receiver, maybe like on the signing day press release they issued. He's always been a running back, but he's more of a, I use the term scat back anymore, but he's just a smaller back that's really good in open spaces. You can line him up in the slot. He can work as a receiver. Now, I say that, and he has filled out a little bit. And we saw last year and in the spring, he's more physical than I think people maybe would have anticipated coming out of high school. So, is he going to be, again, a 20 carry back running between the tackles? No, that's not his strength, but he can do some of that. Jarrett Gibson from IMG Academy, which is one of the power programs in the country, of course, more of a big, thick body that can run between the tackles. That's where he excels. Although I'll say that he can actually be a pretty decent receiver too. He's more of what I'd call a well-rounded back as well. But, he's come in, he's cleaned up a little bit. There was a time like his senior year, he got a little too big. He had to thin down a little bit. So he's done that. When he first showed up on campus, the two freshmen last year, I remember going to I think it was a spring practice and taking pictures of both those freshmen, Christian Clark and Jarrett Gibson. I was like, whoa, those dudes do not look like true freshmen who just showed up in college and should be in high school. So he's a really well put together dude. He can handle the load. He's not a burner necessarily, but he's a guy, he can run between the tackles. He's fast enough. I would say he's fast enough to get the job done. He's not Jaden Blue fast. He's not Trey Wisner fast, but he's a good, powerful runner between the tackles. So, he comes in kind of college ready. I think he has that physical presence, and he played elite competition at an elite program at IMG Academy. Kind of like we've heard Sark say about Michael Curran, the punter. Okay, he's from St. Thomas Aquinas, right? Well, okay, is the pressure going to have an impact on him? Well, maybe not, because he played like almost college level ball in high school. The same can be said for Jarrett Gibson. So I think he'll be ready for whatever's thrown his way, but he is a true freshman. He's going to have to kind of, he said he fumbled in the scrimmage. He's going to have to kind of iron out some kinks and iron out some wrinkles, but he definitely has talent for sure.
A question that you have never thought would ever be asked is, tell us about Colin Page. No, because you and I spoke on Saturday.
Yeah.
We were kind of sharing notes, and I was like, yeah, man, I heard about Colin Page. Like, man, I heard the same thing. I was like, okay, well.
Yeah, I heard you before. Again, I was in the waiting room and I was watching, and I heard you tell, like you were talking to your source on Saturday.
Yeah.
And I was talking to obviously a totally separate source on Saturday after the scrimmage, and I'm on the phone with this source. And I said, well, who stood out? And he's naming some guys. I said, what about the running backs? Anybody make big plays? And he goes, man, 27 was killing it. And I'm like, hold on. So I said, hold on, man. So I pulled up the roster, and I go, Colin Page. I go, white guy? He goes, yes. And I'm like, okay. And then you and I talked, and I'm like, yeah. You might tell me it's 27. You're like, same thing. We're like, well, good, because we both thought our sources were goofing on us at one point there. But,
I thought they were just trying to embarrass us.
Yeah, I'm going to be honest, Almer, I don't know anything about the dude. Clearly, I had to go look him up. But I did go look at his film in high school, and someone said he was good at Anderson. He was, man. He was a good runner. Or was it Austin Anderson? Or was it
Anderson? Yep.
But yes, can he fill in a pinch? Absolutely. Is he going to be second or third on the depth chart? That would surprise me. I can't remember the last time I can recall a walk-on running back, certainly not at Texas, making much of an impression. So, but no, he runs powerful. He's a powerful runner. He's a bigger kid, strong kid. He did well in the scrimmage. That's all I can say. We both know that. And it wasn't against they're throwing him out there against the third and fourth string. He actually held up well in the scrimmage. So, Sark singled him out yesterday in his press conference, mentioned that he had a good scrimmage and he's doing some good things. So, we'll see how much of a role he has moving forward, but he's certainly a guy that's on our radar at this point, right?
Yeah, well, have no choice. Billy Bird says Sark will play the baseball kid at running back. I mean,
Hey, everybody's going to get a look, Billy, at this point, right? I mean,
yes, right. I mean,
yeah. I don't know anything about that kid either as a football player. I mean, I saw him at practice, and he looks like a fullback to me. I'll say that. He's a big, filled out kid, but I don't know anything about him as a runner. And his name did not come up at the scrimmage, but maybe it will at the scrimmage this weekend. We'll see.
Recruiting wise, Jason. Okay, so as you know, we haven't had a lot of positive things to report on the football side as far as injuries are concerned, and then we're going to talk obviously on the recruiting side as well. All right, Jason, I'm confused. All right, can I just say I'm confused, Jason, because I thought for the longest time Fasusi to Texas sounded like a pretty sure thing. Now I don't know if I look at something coming from the Oklahoma side, seems like they feel pretty good about it. Texas side, good-ish. And I don't know how to handicap this announcement. That I guess is it next week that he's announcing?
Yeah, Fasusi's the 21st? 21st. So a week from tomorrow, yeah.
Yeah. Help me, Jason. What do you know anything more than maybe a week or two ago?
Yeah, a little. I wrote about it in my, I guess it was kind of a mini war room I did. I can't remember last week, but here's the deal, Omar. Fasusi took, for the longest time, me and I think just about everybody had Fasusi leaning towards Texas. Okay. And Fasusi never said that. He would give you great quotes about Texas, but he would also, if you asked about Oklahoma or whoever, he would do the same thing. But it just always made sense to me. And I've always said, like, I'm going with Texas because this is one, in my opinion, they cannot afford to lose. And Texas usually wins those kinds of recruitments. DeCorian Moore was a big miss, but you could afford to miss on DeCorian Moore. There's other good receivers. They just picked up Kalik Lockett. Jamie French is out there. Fasusi, in my mind, was a can't-miss guy for Texas. Well, so that's why I've always had him kind of penciled into this Texas class. He takes his official visits, and word coming out of Norman, Oklahoma, after his official visit, which was before the Texas visit, mind you, was that, oh my gosh, they blew him away. Oklahoma's the clear leader. I'm like, yeah, I've heard that a lot from certain Oklahoma people, and they seem to exaggerate their chances a little bit, oversell their chances. That's kind of what I've been feeling. I'm sticking to my Texas guns. Well, last week, I talked to Fasusi, and I just didn't get the, I've said this on Orange Bloods, I didn't get the warm fuzzies that I feel like I should have 2 weeks out from his commitment. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
He talked up Oklahoma a lot, talked up A&M. He did talk up Texas, but I had to specifically ask about it. The one thing that kind of kept throwing me for a loop on and Fasusi and I don't say we're close. I mean, I'm a 51-year-old man, right? But I mean, relationship. But I mean, he picks up the call. We talk. I've met him in person several times. And he's like, hey, dude, I haven't, you better pull up to my announcement. I'm like, all right, man, I'll try to be there. Well, then with that, I'm like, okay, I don't think he would say that if he was going to Oklahoma, but he also is the type that just loves attention.
Mm-hmm.
And he probably would genuinely enjoy talking to me just because he's just an awesome dude. Okay. So I was like, well, I don't know. Is that a good sign? Maybe. But in talking to an Oklahoma source last week, they feel as though if NIL offers are even, that Oklahoma is going to win. Okay. As long as someone doesn't come in and dramatically outbid them, so to speak.
Mm-hmm.
I talked to a Texas source who labeled it 50-50. And I'm like, you'd rather get more confidence than that, a week and a half out of his announcement, 2 weeks out. So it has me favoring Oklahoma at this point, just reading the tea leaves. Since he hasn't told me, I haven't asked him directly. He did tell me his mind is made up. It's done. Now that could always change. Things can change at the last minute. I'll hit him up right before his announcement and I'll have a off the record, heart to heart with him. Like, dude, I don't want to drive to Louisville 4 hours each way or whatever with that if it's not going to be Texas. So I'm hoping I'll have a good feel. And I'm not going to ruin his moment, of course. I say that. People need to understand, even if he tells me who it
Of
is.
course, but Jason, if people that day are going to be asking you, hey,
they're already asking me, are you going? Yeah. People are asking me, are you going? Are you going? And I always say, like, I don't usually go to announcements unless I know it's pretty much know it's going to be Texas. So it will be a sign.
You can't that day. You can't say where you're going to be if
No,
people start
it's
asking
on a
you.
Wednesday, right? So yeah, well, I'll have the recruiting hour. So I'll just like, oh, I've got my obligations that I have to do that I can't travel. That's my excuse. But yeah, if you see my face on OB Live on Wednesday, then know that I'm not broadcasting from Louisville. Then I'm at home. That tells you probably that I feel that it's probably going to be Oklahoma. But right now, on where my money would be on Oklahoma, but it's not a sure thing. I don't think he hasn't told me directly. So I'm still trying to keep a glimmer of hope out there for Texas fans.
I didn't like anything I just heard there, Jason.
I know, both of our I was hoping I would come on. Your mod rankings in the toilet right now. So
yeah, it's horrible.
Can I just talk about Kalik Lockett? I know that was 6 days ago, but can we just focus on
No. we're going to stay in our misery right now. We're going to stay in misery. I'm not going to add. Yeah. So, what do you think about them flipping the Corey more? No, we're not going to be that horrible. The Lockett thing absolutely didn't happen. But Jason, I had a super chat that came in here. Maybe gives us a little bit more optimism here. Super chat came in from Jay Lee. He said, too bad Michael Terry isn't on this roster. He'd be great to plug in at running back. Totally agree. By the way, he took his senior football pick in Texas gloves. Surely that's good. Someone's trying to read the tea leaves here, Jason.
Yeah.
Now,
you know what, Jay Lee? It's not bad news, but I can also remember Riley Pettijohn showing up to the Rivals 5-star in Jacksonville. And he came up to me and flashed his hook 'em gloves. Okay. So these kids do these things just to throw people off, just to kind of drum up some suspense. So I wouldn't go too crazy about a picture of him wearing anything else. Tomorrow, something will show up with him wearing Nebraska, and the next day he'll be wearing an Oregon shirt to school or something. So I wouldn't get too worked up about the gloves, but I still think things look good there with Texas and Michael Terry. Listen, he's close to his family. I know his family wants him at Texas, closer to home. They don't want him at Oregon. They don't really want him at Nebraska. I think that's going to matter in the end. I've said it. Texas did a great job. He visited for that pool party in late July. He did visit Oregon and Nebraska after, but that Texas visit, the intel I got on that was that Sark blew him away with his kind of presentation of how he would be used. So you're right, Jay Lee. They could probably use him right now on this roster. I actually wrote about in my 3-2-1. I wrote about Texas running back commitment James Simon, and he's getting ready to. They actually started practice yesterday, and James Simon's hoping to go back-to-back undefeated state champs, so on and so forth. And I thought about that this morning. It's like Texas could use James Simon. Too bad he couldn't have reclassified and graduated early. So they'll take it's all hands on deck. Yeah, they'd love to have James Simon, Michael Terry, any of those dudes that could help out.
All right, Jason, let's just cut to it right now. My patience is wearing thin. I am tired of you, and I am tired of Catch. Tell me who the hell Texas has a chance of landing. Just tell me, is Jamie French, is he a guy that Texas has a chance of landing? Give me something. I'm tired of you guys and your reports.
Jamie French, they've got a good shot at. Texas and Miami. Like, I've talked to Texas people, they feel pretty good. I mentioned that I talked to James Simon, the running back, and he had just talked to Jamie French like the day before. And so I said, okay, how do you feel? And he goes, based on my conversation, he goes, I feel pretty good about Texas's chances. So Texas is a good chance there. I tell you what, hey, I put it in my 3-2-1. There's not a school I would put above Texas for Jonah Williams right now.
Oh, okay. I like that.
Okay. Now, am I sticking my neck out and saying they're going to get him? Not quite there yet, but he announces on the 24th, I believe it is. 24th. So is that like a Saturday, I believe it would be. And you know what? That thing's been all over the place. At one time, people were like, oh, he's going to Oklahoma. It's a lock. Oh, he's going to A&M. It's a lock. He's going to Oregon. It's a lock. He's going to LSU. It's locked in. Nope, none of those have come to fruition, obviously. And I'm hearing a lot of Texas buzz after that pool party visit for him. I mean, he told Orange Bloods directly Texas is top 3. I've heard top 2, and I've heard LSU maybe faded a little bit because he did not end up visiting LSU that weekend after he visited Texas, that last weekend of July. LSU people on the baseball side were kind of pissed that he didn't show up. They were pissed at the football people, I've heard, because they felt like the football coaches didn't make it enough of a priority to get Jonah Williams down there. So some moving parts there, man. I think Texas has a really good shot there. Michael Terry, we talked about. I'm predicting Texas. I'll tell you a guy that doesn't get talked about, Anwar, and the reason why is because he never talks. I've never spoken to this player, but Nick Brooks, offensive lineman out of Cedar Rapids, Iowa, who now is in Georgia for his senior year.
Is that the guy who's like 375 pounds?
Yeah, like 6'8", 370, 380, somewhere in that ballpark.
Yeah, so he's more likely he's like 400. But
maybe, yeah. I mean, honest dude. I mean, the guy never. I'd love to ask him any of these questions, but he never does interviews. But I talked to a source in Texas, in Austin, and I'd say the confidence there is higher than I've ever heard it with any player. I mean, it was crazy, the number that was thrown out to me in terms of Texas's chances. Okay. So now I'll say this about Nick Brooks. The rumor is he silently committed to Georgia when he visited there in June. The next week he went to USC. He did silently commit to USC or gave them indication. Okay. And then he visited Texas. So Texas got the last crack at him. He must have told Texas people something they really, really like. Because like I said, the number that was given to me about their confidence level is sky high. So, we'll see if it holds true. It was funny because Nick Brooks, he might announce as early as next week. It's probably going to happen this month. But the person that told me this, like Texas feels great about their chances, also said, hey, long way to go. And I'm like, well, not really if he's announcing in a couple weeks, but he might be the type that announces in a couple weeks and you got to fight tooth and nail to hang on to him until he actually signs his letter of intent, just based on all these kind of supposed silent commitments he's been given.
Jason, tell me why are these young guys trying to announce before the season starts? Is it as simplistic as they just want to focus on their senior year, even though we know they probably are going to take visits? But it seems like there's a huge emphasis. I feel like I'm noticing this year more than previous years of all the guys, because look, Jason, if you go through the list, a lot of guys hit, and hell, I can just share it right here. Let me see if I can. Last time I tried to share the screen, I lost audio, so I don't know. But if you look at the offer list, Jason, if you sort it by the recruiting rankings, so many of these guys are already committed somewhere. Is there a reason why that so many guys are just saying, I'm going to get this thing over with?
Yeah, I wouldn't say it's necessarily new, but it seems to be trending more and more that direction. And there's a couple reasons. They've moved signing day up again, so it's now early December. Guys just don't want to mess with it during their senior season. Most of these guys, they've already taken their official visits, right? Just about all of them have taken all the official visits they're going to take. Some will try to take an official visit or two in the fall, or maybe after their senior season ends. There's usually a weekend or two before signing day, but maybe not this year, depending on how their teams are doing in the playoffs. So most guys are just like, I just want to have it done. I want to have it over with before my senior season, not have to worry about it. That way they can sign in early December. Most guys now graduate in December, so they're going to enroll in January. So everything has just kind of been moved up. But yeah, it's rare, Anwar. I mean, you don't see many guys. I mean, Andrew Marsh may take his into the fall, but I mean, most guys, you're right. I mean, have things wrapped up by the start of their senior season, and that's by design. They just don't want to have to think about it. They want to enjoy their senior season, hang out with their boys, and then ride off into the sunset and go to college. I saw there was a question from Jay. Madden Faremo, the linebacker. Yeah, nothing new, Jay. I mean, Texas definitely has a shot. Now, let me tell you this. He actually, I don't want to say silently committed, but there was Notre Dame people thought he basically was for all intents and purposes, a silent commitment back in the summer. Now, we interviewed him when he came and visited Texas on his official visit, and it was a little bit surprising to me, and nobody knew this, but he actually had taken a visit prior to his official visit. He'd taken a Texas unofficial visit. So he said, hey, this is my second time coming here. I was like, okay, he snuck in under the radar. And he had a great Texas visit, okay? He and his parents, too. His mom and dad were there, spoke to them briefly. Texas knocked it out of the park. Johnny Nansen, he's got connections there. Really did a good job. And I'll say this, like when I circled back to those same Notre Dame people, they were like, hey, people inside the Notre Dame football department are pretty nervous all of a sudden. Now, Madden Faremo, he's just kind of taking it day by day. He doesn't have he could commit tomorrow. He could commit in October or November. He doesn't have a set timeline, just kind of whenever it hits him. But I would say anytime a guy has a strong leader at one point, I just always favor them coming back to that first love, so to speak. So I still think maybe if you're forcing me to pick, I'd put my money on Notre Dame, but it's close, man. I mean, that one's close to a toss-up. I mean, Texas has a shot there, but we're just kind of waiting for Madden to just kind of find some resolution. Right now, it's still a pretty open race.
All right, Jason, this is the last question I have for you, but I do think it's a valid one. I realized I'm going to show you something on the share screen. I actually won't screw this up. I know what I did last time that screwed it up, but I won't screw it up this time. You can see the screen, right, Jason?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
All right, let me see if I can maximize this a little bit more. You can still hear me?
Yep, good.
All right, good. I think we're still on, and I'm going to take down the chat for a second, okay? And everyone can still hear me. So here's where I'm at, Jason. I keep hearing the whole thing of, you know what? At the end of the day, Texas feels strong that they can flip guys, right? And that they're not worried about it. They'll flip guys at the end. But Jason, as I'm looking at the list, right? This is the offer list, and I've sorted it by the number here. That's the recruiting ranking number, right?
Okay.
If I'm looking at the commitment status of these are the offers that Texas has out there, Jason, a lot of the top guys have verbally committed to programs. Like for instance, we're waiting on Jonah Williams. I don't know much about Owusu.
Yeah, Texas isn't involved there. Yeah.
Yeah. And, so there's a lot of guys that they may have offered, but they're not involved in Fasusi. We're at 50-50 on that. Jamie French, some optimism. But you keep looking at that right side. These guys are verbally committed. Committed. Winston Watkins is another guy, but then verbally committed. I'm just I don't know. And I think this is Madden from who do you say?
Yep.
Jason, all these guys damn near are committed to somebody of who's left of the elite guys. I'm just trying to understand, and I'm not saying you need to endorse the recruiting strategy. Am I wrong from saying I'm a little bit concerned when I go through the list of the offer list and probably the majority of these guys are committed to other programs?
You're not wrong at all, Anwar. I mean, you and I are in kind of lockstep there. And I know, sources in Austin keep saying, it'll be fine. Don't worry. Check back in November. I'm like, okay, but that's a high risk game you're playing, because these guys could fall more in love with the programs that they're committed to between now and then. I don't know about anytime you're counting on flips, that's just not the position you want to be in. I mean, listen, I pulled up the same. You don't think Texas would love to have Devin Sanchez committed, Riley Pettijohn, Jonah Williams, obviously, who's still out there, Javion Hilson, a guy they tried to flip from Florida State, Fasusi, DeCorian Moore. I mean, Dijon Lee's a defensive back who's committed to Alabama that Texas brought in for a visit. You don't think they'd like to have those dudes on their commitment list right now and then trying to hold? No, I mean, you might flip maybe one of those dudes, maybe. Like, people keep saying, DeCorian Moore, he's going to flip. Guys, I don't know, man. He's already been back to Oregon, I think at least once. Yeah, once since he committed, maybe twice. He's going back for a game early in the fall. He's going back up there. I think flipping these guys is going to be a lot harder. I mean, someone asked me the other day, hey, can Texas flip Riley Pettijohn from Ohio State? And I was like, man, right now, I'd say the percentages are really, really low. That dude seems really happy with his Ohio State commitment. Texas wasn't the runner-up in that one to begin with. I mean, Texas was third or fourth on that one. So, Texas fans are always confident in their recruiting abilities. They're the team, and I get it. And they're always confident in their team. But I mean, these are good programs. These guys are committed to Ohio State and Oregon and Alabama and Florida State. It's not like they're flipping them from Baylor or TCU. So it's going to be tough onward. I don't like it. I don't like that position. I would much rather be in a position where, you got Colin Simmons committed early and you're going to have to possibly fend off everybody else. I'd rather be in that position than having to count on flipping guys at the last minute.
All right, Jason, you do good work. Jason, you'll be back for the modcast.
See you in 8 minutes or 7 minutes, brother.
Apparently, it may just be the three of us.
According
to our team's message. So,
I didn't even see that. Okay, well, either way,
I saw it there as well. So we'll figure that one out. So, Jason, go get some water. Go use the bathroom. I'll see you back in a few minutes.
Sounds good, man. See you in a bit.
All right, Jason Suchomel, orangebloods.com gives you all the recruiting insight every Tuesday here on this channel. We will have the modcast coming up next, literally in the next 7 minutes or so. We're going to have another show back to back. By the way, y'all, 1,200 of y'all are here watching live. I appreciate y'all. Do me a favor if you can. It won't cost you nothing. Let me just hit the like button because I want to get more likes than anybody else on the channel. Let's just do that. Subscribe to the channel if you have not done so. So when we have unfortunate breaking news, hopefully better news in the future, because I'm tired of this damn bad news. I'm tired of this crap. I don't want to keep talking about injuries. So hopefully it's some good news to report, like scrimmage stuff and things to that effect. If you get the notifications, it just goes to like an email. It just lets you know what stuff is going on. It don't really cost you a thing. But if you can subscribe to the channel, please do that. Man, I appreciate you guys. Really do. Today was not the most fun show as far as a content thing, but it's a real show. So this is a show that we need to have. Hopefully tomorrow we'll have some more fun stuff to talk about, better things to talk about for sure. Like I said, now I gotta prepare. I get a 5-minute break. And I'm going to come back. So you guys come back as well. Hit the like button. Remember what I always say, man, live each day like it was your last. You just never know when it will be. So go out, enjoy your day, do something spectacular, love on somebody, hug on somebody, forgive somebody,